Hi everyone, welcome to Art with Cha on the internet. Today I would like to introduce you to an artist named Keith Haring, and I'm going to read you a book about his life and his artwork, and then I'll show you a little art activity that we can do inspired by him. Keith Haring, The Boy Who Just Kept Drawing, by K.A. Haring and illustrated by Robert Newbecker. There was a boy named Keith. When he was little, his father taught him how to draw dogs and fish and funny things. His dad would draw a line. Then Keith would draw one. Soon, the whole page would be full. From that time on, Keith never stopped drawing. In elementary school, while taking tests, Keith doodled on the edge of his paper. When he handed in his work, his teachers would ask, "Why did you doodle on this important paper?" Keith didn't answer. He went back to his desk and just kept drawing. Sometimes Keith invited his friends to draw in his backyard clubhouse. Keith made symbols and said each one represented a letter of the alphabet. His friends asked, "Why do you use symbols to write?" Keith drew more symbols. It was his way of answering their question. He encouraged his friends to join him. As a teenager, Keith liked to draw in his bedroom with music playing loud. He would draw on every piece of paper that he could find. His mother had to yell over the music, "Why can't you turn that music down and go outside and ride your bike?" But Keith had sold his bike to buy art supplies. So he answered, "Look at the cool drawings I did." And he just kept drawing. Keith was in high school when he won first prize for his art. A successful couple from town offered to buy his drawing. Keith said, "No, thank you. If you enjoy my art, you may hang it on your wall. No charge." Keith's sisters were shocked. "Why didn't you take the money?" they asked. Keith shrugged. He just wanted to keep drawing. Keith graduated from high school and went to the big city of Pittsburgh to a school that would teach him about art. There were boys on the street trying something new, breakdancing. He liked the crazy shapes of their bodies as they turned and flipped on the ground. When the music played loud, Keith started drawing wiggly lines. His teachers asked him, "Why are you drawing pictures that look like scrambled bodies? This is not what we told you to draw." Keith knew how to draw. He just wanted to draw in different ways. And he kept drawing. Keith moved to the huge city of New York when he was 20, so he could draw with other artists. He started to draw all over the city, on the walls, on sidewalks, and on paper he hung on lampposts. His drawings were washed away by the rain or torn down by street cleaners. Other artists asked Keith, "Why do you draw in places where your pictures are erased?" Keith didn't hear them. He was searching for another wall so he could keep drawing. Keith got a job delivering packages and sometimes rode the subway. One day he saw a panel of black paper on the wall in a station. He rushed outside to buy chalk and came back and began to draw. The white chalk made bright, smooth lines on the black paper. Day after day, Keith filled the empty panels on the subway stations with art. Soon, people who rode the subway were looking for the white chalk drawings. No one knew the name of the artist, but his drawings were easy to recognize. People asked, "Why are you drawing here? What do your pictures mean?" Keith said, "What do you see? You decide what they mean." Where Keith lived, there was trash on the street, and people didn't always say hello to each other. One day, he and his friends cleaned up 20 bags of garbage from the front of a long wall. Then Keith painted square faces with smiles and body shapes dancing upside down. The neighbors liked the drawings and stopped to say thank you. A policeman came by and lectured Keith. "Why did you do this? I have to give you a ticket because you didn't get permission." Keith paid the fine and he just kept drawing. Soon, people wanted to see more of Keith's drawings, and he was asked to display his work in an art gallery. Art was hung from floor to ceiling, and in between he painted on the walls. Keith invited everyone to come and enjoy his work. All of Keith's artwork sold. The gallery owner asked him, "What are you going to do with all this money?" Keith said, "I read in the newspaper that there are kids who don't have enough to eat. I didn't have this money yesterday and I was happy. If I don't have it tomorrow, I'll still be happy. All children need to eat. I'll send the money to them." The gallery owner gasped. "Why?" Keith just smiled and started to draw again. Now, people were inviting Keith to draw in famous museums and exhibit in galleries all over the world. He was proud that he had become a successful artist. But wherever he went, Keith insisted he paint a mural so everyone could enjoy his work, not just the people who had money to buy it. During a visit to Paris, France, Keith painted on the outside of a children's hospital, 6 stories high. Newspaper reporters came to take pictures and asked, "Why did you paint the hospital? Do you think it will make the sick children feel better?" Keith didn't have time to answer. He had to finish the painting. When the Statue of Liberty was 100 years old, Keith drew an outline of the famous statue on a huge piece of vinyl fabric. Then he asked 900 kids to help him finish the drawing. Keith told them, "Draw anything, whatever you want. No one can say it's bad or good. It's yours." When the giant painting was displayed, people were amazed to see what Keith and the kids had made. But the art critics couldn't understand why a famous artist was drawing with kids. But you know Keith, he just kept drawing. Keith painted all over the world. He would draw on anything, anytime, anywhere. Wherever he went and whatever he did, he would not stop. He just kept drawing. Now everyone wanted to know, and together they shouted, "Why? Why do you draw all the time? Why do you give your artwork away? Why do you draw on buildings, on people, on clothing, on furniture, on subway walls, on cars, on skateboards, on walls that belong to no one, and on things to be thrown away? Why do you draw on everything?" Keith stopped drawing just for a moment and answered, "I draw all the time because there are so many spaces to fill. I give my drawings away to help make the world a better place. I draw everywhere because everyone needs art." Then Keith turned back to the street, took a piece of chalk from his pocket, and just kept drawing. So this is a picture of Keith Haring when he was making art. A lot of the images that we saw in this book are actual pictures of his artwork, whether it was pictures that he drew when he was really young, or pictures that were very famous, or painted on the outsides of buildings. Art is for everyone. If you have sidewalk chalk and you're able to go outside, I'd love for you to try making one of Keith Haring's moving, wiggly, dancing people drawings of your own. It's really fun. You can do it just by outlining it yourself, or you can use someone else to help you make a person outline. So I'll show you how. Nara, come here. I have someone who's very helpful, who's gonna help me make a person drawing, a person dancing. You can be the person who lays down on the ground and have someone else trace you, or you can trace someone else.
I want to trace you.
Well, I'm going to trace you first, okay? So I am going to have Nara move her arms into kind of a fun dance position. All right, so once you have your outline, you might want to go back in and make some of the outline really thick, because one of the things that Keith did with his paintings was use really bold, thick lines to outline his figures. Now, the other thing you can do is you can color this in all the way, but I think the most important step after having your outline is to add some special motion lines, so special wiggly lines all around your figure that makes it really seem like they're dancing and moving, and that there's some sense of joy. So let me add some special lines. These lines help make my person feel alive, which is a really important part of Keith Haring's artwork.
I got this chalk too.
Oh, you brought more chalk? Yeah. Let's use it. All right, look at that. That's so great. I love it. It looks really happy. All right, but I have a message for my students.
I do have a message for your
Well, let's say they want to make this drawing, but it's a rainy day, or they don't have any chalk, or they don't have anyone to help them make a tracing. You can do this project inside with paper and markers or pencils or crayons too, and you don't have to do it super big size. I'm going to show you how to do the same kind of drawing, but using other smaller materials in just a moment. You can certainly use really, really big paper if you have it and trace yourself, or have someone else trace you. But you can also use regular size paper, or you could cut up a paper bag again and lay that out and get a nice big piece of paper. And then you're also going to want to find some dolls or toys or small stuffed animals. And we're going to use those to trace for our Keith Haring inspired movement drawings. I went through and I found some friends in my house, and I'm going to position them in an interesting way. And I'm just thinking about some of Keith Haring's murals and drawings where there's figures that fill the page, and sometimes they're upside down, sometimes they're right side up. They often have their limbs, their arms and legs and bodies twisted and kind of bent because they're dancing or moving. So how can I make these also do that? I don't really know what Mino is. Oh, and then we've got a caterpillar. All right, so I like to use, I would use crayon because we want those really bold, thick outlines. Your traced outlines don't have to be very perfect at all. We're just getting the general shape of a body, the simplest shape of a body that we can find. So I'm going to start down here. And when you're tracing something, make sure you hold it down with one hand while you trace on the other. You can always ask for some grown-up help if that makes things a little easier. I'm just going to use the caterpillar as a guide, kind of exaggerate it. So now I have these kind of fantastical creature outlines, but there's something missing, and I think what's missing is, again, the sense of motion. And your motion lines don't have to be the same color. They could be a totally different color. Maybe I'll bring some red into this. And now you also might want to color in some of your outlines. So some of the figures might have no details, and I might add some details to some of the other figures. It's up to you. This is your own drawing, so you can add details on the inside of your outline if you want to. I hope you all enjoyed the book and learned a little bit about Keith Haring, and I hope that you can take his energy and find some inspiration in his style and make some really fun art for yourself. Have a lovely day.